My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
I'm Sky.
And today we want to talk about beginnings. Where you began, where we began, where this obsession and love of ours came from, and how our knowledge can help you, potentially new listener or watcher of the Korean drama world, get the most out of your Korean drama watching experience.
So we've noticed over the last few months just kind of the idea that we had for this particular mini episode came from noticing that frequently newer K-drama watchers, and even some people who are not that new, maybe have been in it for a year or longer, have never heard of certain resources that we find essential, that we're, the one that comes to mind is mydramalist.com, where not everybody, but a lot of people track their drama watching on this website. And the number of times that you hear somebody who's been watching for a year and they're like, I've never heard of this before. What is it? And we thought, okay, maybe we should have
I'm going to be honest.
To say,
I was watching for 4 years before I found my drama list, and oh boy, was that an afternoon recording all of the stuff.
I think it was about a year for me. Mm-hmm. And then one of my Twitter mutuals was like, what do you mean you can't remember what episodes you were watching? And I'm like, and she's like, aren't you tracking it on my drama list? And I was like, my whaty list? Like, and she's like, oh my Lord. Let me share my knowledge with you. So,
young Padawan.
Yeah, it took me a while. And I was using my drama list just to look up things, like if I wanted to find out about a specific actor and what they've been in, so I could see another drama that I could potentially watch. That's what I was mainly using it for. And it wasn't until I joined Twitter, which was just this year, that I learned how useful my drama list is with being able to record everything. Also, I just really like recording things and lists, and it's just it's nice.
Making lists. It's just orgasmic making lists.
Oh gosh.
I have so many lists.
I love them. I have so many list notepads,
list everywhere.
But it's not just useful for that. It's useful in finding new things that might interest you, or keeping, like Amanda said, if you can't remember, you put something on hold and you didn't remember which episode you stopped at, but you want to go back to.
You were watching something on DramaFever, and then and you're like, I don't know which episode of Goblin I was on.
Well, that's got your back, because you would have marked it down. It's also really easy to use.
I think there's a slight learning curve if you go in, and if you definitely if you have been watching dramas for a handful of years prior to thinking that you're going to then dump all of your information into all these lists, which are actually, they are simple to use, but it looks difficult at first. And if you do have a backlog of information, it's going to take you a little bit of time.
When I went in, I found it really easy. When you went on, if you go into the search, you can put it by year and country. So what I did is I just kept going back every year and scanning through and finding all the ones that I had watched and marking them off, so I didn't have to remember every title. So that's a little
looks familiar.
Yeah, little pro tip for
Yeah, I also you can search by what's the most popular, and so that's what I did, because I knew a lot of the shows that I was watching was popular, so I was able to just kind of go in through and be like, okay, that's what I watched, that's what I watched before I really started trying to find all the other things that I had been watching.
And I think the popular thing has always been really helpful back when DramaFever existed, but also my drama list, because when I was brand new and I didn't have anyone helping me figure out what to watch, knowing what was popular, I was like, well, at least some people think this is a good show. I mean, that's a good way to find recommendations. And then the fact that my drama list does have reviews, not that every review is created equal.
No.
Some of them are helpful.
As with all things on the internet, crowdsourcing sometimes leads to poorly thought out opinions. Just, yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things I see recommended so frequently is can we please not be allowed to rate things until they're actually out?
Yeah, until they're done.
Because you see these ones like airing next year and it's already got a 10 rating and you're like,
yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
They're
that on DramaFever too,
because
though.
Oprah's in it, so it must be good. Like,
let's be real, no.
Yeah, we're not saying it won't be good. We're just saying that we don't have proof that it's good.
I'd like to actually see a trailer first.
Yeah.
At least see a trailer, man. At least.
Trailer. Like,
something.
It's like 2 pictures of them, like, the leads holding
the
sticks with a thumb up. Like,
you know what I always love about those photos? They're always really bad quality photos too. Like it was taken on like an old cell phone. Like just like in a dark room. You're like, why is this a promotional photo?
Or even prior to that when it's like they're even just rumored to be the leads and so you can tell it's just these copy pasted pictures.
Yeah.
It's like the Dispatch logo at the bottom. Like yeah, Dispatch. Now, if you're wondering if you don't know what Dispatch is, Dispatch is like Korean TMZ, essentially. They go around basically hunting for celebrities making out in cars and exposing them, which is
scandals.
Yes. Oh, and if you're the term scandal in Korean entertainment is very different than the term scandal in Western entertainment. While there are legitimate scandals like, crime and sexual offenders, mostly when they're referring to scandal, it's like, they got caught holding hands. Scandal!
Oh, no.
Maybe being on their first date.
Yeah, they
on the internet. Or
these two adults might have been dating. Scandal! But that's part of the fun. That's kind of part of ridiculous fun.
Where that scandal is not always scandalous.
Yes, exactly.
Don't
going
freak
back
out.
to my drama list,
yes.
just for a little bit, there's a really great feature that I use all the time. They list on their homepage what shows are coming up next and what's ending. And it's a really great resource if you're trying to find shows that are about to start within the week or are going to end within the week.
Yeah.
It's a really nice thing to look up.
It's nice on 2 things. Like if you're looking for a new show to watch that's coming up, then it's there. But if you're also looking for a show to binge, you know what's ending, so you have all the episodes ready to go.
And they have like articles and they have like there's community boards to chat on and people play like cute games on them. Like there's always fun little games like, click on this person's profile and of the like 10 dramas that'll show up in their most recent activity, which one would you be the most likely to watch? And you post that and then the next it does it for you. It's like goofy stuff. Or which one would you recommend?
It's cute community stuff. I find I haven't found too many in every community, social media community. There's always a few bad apples who try to ruin the fun for everyone else. However, they're very few and far in between on my drama.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some good moderation going on by the admins. And the admins are really responsive on Twitter and stuff, so they communicate a lot, which is nice. And they also have the function, which I only recently found out about when Amanda told me last week, that you can vote on things that you want the website to come up with, like ideas for, improvements to my drama list. So you can vote, you get like a certain number of votes, and you can put up to 3 on each thing. So then they put the ones with the most votes on like the top of the order of importance for the development of the website. So it's pretty great. And it's free.
Yes.
Woo! Who doesn't love a free stuff, right?
It'd be nice if we supported it.
You can pay it and to support it, but it's only a couple of bucks. Like it's not very expensive at all. And then it lets you like personalize your page more with so your page instead of like boring
it takes out the ads.
Like, pictures and stuff and takes out the ads and
so it's pretty great. The only downside is that there's no app. However,
they are working on it. They've mentioned it multiple times. So fingers crossed that actually shows up in 2019. That would
Then
be
Yeah, but you can add
fabulous.
friends too. Like you can add people and see other people's watch lists. So that's a really nice way to find new shows. 'Cause maybe if you know somebody who tends to skew towards the things that you like, you can look at their watch list and see what they rated higher. So you're likely to watch that show and like it as much as they do.
And we just recently, thanks to Amanda, created a certified Noona's account that you can all befriend and see our recommendations. We all have our own individual accounts, but we wanted
Which
to have
I linked on there.
Yes, but we wanted to have one that was like what we all agree on, essentially.
Well, things that we talk about on the podcast and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with just amongst ourselves.
It's a good, easy way, if you're on my drama list and you're following us and you miss something or whatever, that'll be a good, easy way that you can click through and find out what was it that they mentioned? What were they talking about? Oh, that drama. Here it is. And you can put it on your watch list.
Exactly.
Or like things that we're watching too, so you kind of like get a little insight to what may be on a future podcast, because we like to do that a lot.
You're all watching White Christmas.
We're not very secretive about it, by the way. We're pretty forthcoming.
If you follow us on Twitter, you know what we're doing.
Yeah. You know what we're up to.
But we haven't mentioned a functionality of my drama list that it's not controversial, but it can kind of get you a little bit. The amount of time that you've spent watching dramas.
Yes. It tells you how much time in days you've spent watching dramas based on what you have inputted, which can be alarming at some point. But we don't judge. We're a judgment-free zone here.
I recently passed my 100-day mark.
Oh,
I watched 100 days.
So now we need to throw a party is what that means.
Yeah.
I think I'm almost at 300 days.
When you pass your 1 year,
When I
have
get
to
you're 6 years old.
We'll have like a special live stream or something.
Oh,
watching the
my
last
life.
hour that'll bring me over to 365.
Also on my drama list, you can do special lists for your own specific profile. And so we've started some that have kind of like some of our favorite dramas or like favorite people that we mention a lot, because you may be like, who's this Kim Won-hee that we keep mentioning? You can find him in that. And
you
like
need
drama
to figure that out. That is important to know who he is.
You need to know him. He's the MVP of Korea, really.
Let's not kid ourselves. He really is.
And so you can also make your own lists as well. Like, if you want a list that's just like, oh, you just want to keep record of all the crime dramas you watched, you can have a crime drama list and with all the ratings.
I had that like all of my 2018 dramas. So like I just put in everything that's 2018 just to have it there. Because sometimes I watch dramas that weren't produced in 2018, and so it's a nice way to kind of have those
keep track.
I have like 19 custom lists. I just counted them. I've got 19 custom lists. So I have lists of my favorite movies, my favorite actors, my favorite girlfriends. So like the actresses that I feel like I would actually hang out with in real life. I've got them listed. I started watching dramas in like April. So as opposed to just doing the years, I do like year 1 of drama watching, year 2 of drama watching. And so I sort of go from like April to April. So I've got my year 1, my year 2, I'm in my year 3 right now. I've got a never watch list that I started back before they had that option. They have the like
not interested option. Yes.
But before they had that, I created my never watch list with things that either I have watched and which I never had, or things that people have told me never, ever, ever would happen in Bali. Watch this drama. And I,
cough, cough, cough.
So, cough, cough. I've got sports dramas. I've got favorite dramas. I've got 2016 top 10, 2017 top 10, 2018 top 10. I've got a list of dramas with short episodes, so like web dramas and stuff. I've got my Japanese recommendations, my Taiwanese recommendations, my Chinese, my Thai.
Got it all.
My crappy endings list.
Do you have a list yet for all of the musicians that they now have on there?
No, I don't. But I like that. I like that they're on there.
Yeah,
And they have all the like the variety shows and stuff now too.
Yeah.
I've only been on my drama list since September. I know. Amazing. I only have 3 lists, custom. I have my top 11 dramas of all time, the GOATs for myself. I have all the movies that I forced Briggsy to watch, Briggsy being my husband, and that we both reasonably enjoyed. And then I have my contract relationship list. All of the contract relationship dramas. Big fan.
And I have yet to make any custom lists, but I really need to. Especially, I was looking at my profile today, and I think I started watching dramas actually in January. So I will be coming up on my year pretty soon. So I should be putting those all in so I don't
Another party.
get away from myself.
Yes. We're just going to have all the parties.
Yeah.
That's all we do. Let's not even kid ourselves. So did we cover all of my drama lists? Is there more to talk about?
It probably
I
is.
think
I feel like you got it.
Yeah, just to mention that there is also we were mentioning the website TVTime. A lot of people use that one as well. None of us actually use it, but we have seen other users use TVTime. And one of the big benefits of that one, well, 2 are, 1, they have an app, and 2, they have a much larger database. Like it's
not just Asian
English
stuff.
shows, it's not just Asian. So English, Turkish, like whatever. It's French. There's everything is on there, or seems to be. I don't know. You can keep track if you crazily watch stuff that's not Asian dramas.
Why would you? But still.
Yes. Then you can keep track of that too. I don't know if they track it like my drama list and let you know how many years of your life you're further on your way. But
see, I said that so derisively, like why would you? But I've been watching The Flash this week, so
I think there's another aspect of the TV Time website. It seems like there's a little bit of automation that might go on. We've just seen in passing on Twitter the people that tend to use it. It looks like if they say they complete an episode, you can feed it through your Twitter or something. So, I mean, if you're kind of into more automated stuff.
And with my drama list as well.
Oh.
There's a Twitter bird on your, like if you're on your watch list and you're on, go to edit, like say I go to edit accidentally in love or click on it or whatever. It's also like a Pinterest one, so you can, do that, but you can click the Twitter, if you click on your Twitter bird and then add another episode or whatever, it will automatically pop up a tweet saying, I just watched episode 3 of, and you can edit it if you want to or
but I don't want
whatever,
to spam my Twitter.
But some people like to do that.
You spent 6 hours watching this drama.
Yeah, no, it's like I feel like a little bit opening myself up to too much judgment from the internet and being like, wait a second.
Like what time of day you were doing it.
Complete a
It's
drama.
like, she watched every episode within 24 hours of this 16-episode drama. Wait a second. I know that, like, you guys wouldn't judge
Like
me,
a
but
24-hour. You didn't watch a 24-hour drama in 24 hours. Like, come on. You slept.
well, like, I may have dozed. Alrighty.
So shall we talk about tropes?
Yes, if you're new to dramas, you may notice that there's a lot of tropey things that happen. Korean dramas, I would say, they're pretty prevalent. A little bit less so in, like, J-dramas and Taiwanese dramas. C-dramas, it's a whole other kettle of fish with dubbing and whatever. And T-dramas, like, oh, that's just trope fest. Like, to the extreme. But you can usually tell by, like, the genre or the actors or the style, like, what tropes you're going to encounter. So if you don't like a certain one, avoid. If you're not into, royal family politics, maybe don't watch any historical dramas ever.
We
There are
sort of
some
also mentioned they do have a tendency towards a little royal family incest.
As in most cultures historically.
Historically, yes. So if that bothers you, my first one, I was like, well, but, oh, really? No, come on. Really? Like, oh,
Well, it
nice.
really happened, so.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's accurate in that way. Like, and in sort of like in the rom-coms, there's a lot of, things that come up again and again, especially, like, it's different between, like, newer ones and older ones, but, like, stuff like, risk grabbing and things that may be considered a little bit more dating violence-y. As Amanda was saying earlier, if it's before 2016, you might want to avoid it a little. They've gotten a lot better recently.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, I think, as sort of the feminist movement in Korea sort of builds up steam. I'm taking a more critical eye to the dramas.
I think one of the things you have to recognize with some of that, too, is that I honestly think the idea behind, initially anyway, the idea behind the wrist grab is that holding hands with somebody is too intimate, right? Yeah. So, because they'll make a big deal of that, too. The first time that the couple holds hands, it's a big deal. You're holding my hand. So you'll see that sometimes, like if it's like a quick run and they grab, and they don't grab their wrist, they grab their hand, and it's like, oh, he grabbed her hand, right? Like, it's a big deal. That's kind of where the wrist grabbing comes in. It's like, I don't know you well enough to, like, have that intimate level of contact. And I think if you go into it knowing that, sometimes it seems a little less creepy. Yeah. And a little, like, okay, that's kind of where they're going for there. Sometimes it's still just freaking creepy, and the dude's just trying to control her, right? Like,
it does seem like it is a little bit of a cultural difference going on there, at least the first, back with the older ones and stuff. Yes, sometimes it is, oh, I'm being passionate right now, so I'm going to grab your wrist. But other times it seems like it is that they don't want that level of intimate contact with the hands. And then for us, we're like, oh, wrist grab, that's weird. Well, that trope is kind of different for them sometimes than we would initially see.
Yeah. And another thing for, like, new watchers, it's very different than American television or Western television in the sense that there's so much more censorship and rules about what can be shown. So you'll notice things like blurring knives when they're, having knife fights, but not swords. I just need to point out, swords are fine.
Blood dripping off the sword is fine.
Yeah, blood is fine.
Yeah. But, like, when it stabs someone, it'll just be blurred. Or, like, if someone's smoking, the cigarette won't be blurred until they put it next to their mouth, and then it becomes blurred. Like, it's stuff like this that it's like they have to do for the censorship.
The Thai dramas, like,
what they blur the alcohol.
The alcohol, but, like, the whole point of the scene is that they're at a club getting drunk.
Yeah, so it's like the whole table will just be blurred.
The whole table will be blurred out, and you're like,
I always love that on Thai dramas, because you just know the next scene is, like, the two dudes getting it on in the next room, but it's like, oh no,
but the alcohol.
Public drunkenness is a big thing in Korean dramas. Interestingly enough, this is a true statistic. South Koreans drink the most per capita in the world, and their dramas reflect this. So
I have wondered that, actually.
Yes. So statistically speaking, they drink the most.
It's also not illegal to drink out on the streets.
Yeah.
So that's also why you kind of see a lot of people staggering around, is because they can literally take their drinks, like, from the convenience store out and just walk the streets, and it's not a taboo thing either, too. Yeah. Obviously they don't want people drinking so much that they pass out, but it's still kind of a common occurrence in South Korea.
So another thing is there's not really much sexual content in these shows either. That's also very, very censored. But this is where the movies are not the same. So if you're watching movies, they're free for all. They can make a movie about anything.
There appears to be an awful lot of, like, soft porn that, like, is on the big screen in Korea. Like, they go to see sexy movies a lot.
Like, really high name actors and actresses. So, like, the movies are wild, I think. Much more sort of in the style of Western films. But the television is much more.
It's sometimes hard to tell because it's also very common for two characters to sleep together, but literally just sleep. Like they sleep on the bed together and have a snuggle, and which is great. But like, then
You don't know what's implied.
Yeah, you're not sure. Like I'm watching King Two Hearts, and there's a whole thing where like they wake up together, and the fact that you can see his naked shoulder suggests that something happened because they're not fully clothed. Usually it would be they're fully clothed, but even sometimes they're fully clothed when they wake up, and it's still implied that they had sex the night before.
Look at you,
back up and put all their clothes back on.
Every time there is a sex scene in a show, I'm always like, whoa!
Because statistically, how often is that?
Probably sit underneath them going, punching at the air. Like,
no, like recently there's been a few little ones. Like Oh My Venus had one, and Secretary Kim. Boy. That one was actually pretty spicy. There was some shirts ripping off. There was her wearing his shirt the next morning. Woo.
And I mean, Black Empress, there was
Oh yeah.
all the place there.
First episode, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't gotten past the second episode yet.
Tempted drama, the one that's based on Cruel Intentions, and it was like all kind of sexy, hot, fun times in the first week, and then like
and then nothing. then you introduce Joy's character, and she's so sweet and innocent, so everyone else had to be too.
They got you in the first episode, and then like, suck us.
I loved Cruel Intentions when I was a kid. Like I think in college, first or second year, and I loved Cruel Intentions. Like loved the story of it and everything, and so I was really looking forward to that drama, and then they disappointed big time. So
I think what's also interesting too is that in terms of like broadcasting stations, there's kind of a divide too between like something like NBC and OCN, but it's in this like kind of weird way where it's darker shows, not just like more like
sexy stuff.
It's
like explicit stuff.
Like in America, watching something on like ABC or NBC and watching something on Showtime or HBO, right? Like you're going to have a different level of sex, a different level of violence, a different level
But for the most part, it seems almost, it's literally like, it's darker in tone and not much like...
Yeah. There was one thing that happened, it was with the show Voice, that always made me laugh, where it was rated 15, which is like the standard rating for most things. But then they got in trouble because it was too much crime. Too much violence, so then they just said like, screw it, and then they changed the rating to 19 and just like kicked it up to like insane levels of stabbing. They were like, you think we're too violent for 15-year-olds? Well, look at us now.
Too violent for 19-year-olds.
And yeah, do keep in mind that 15 is like the typical one, so just because it's 15, that there's probably really not much to it.
Typically what would get rated as a 15 for the, like if you see the 15 on your K-drama title screen, it's probably like on Netflix it's rated a 13. Like,
or like a PG, yeah.
For a PG or something. Like typically that's where it's going to fall, in that sort of PG-13 kind of a range. Pretty
semi-family friendly. I tried there, guys.
So do we want to talk about our gateway dramas?
Yes. So there are certain dramas that we have our, we sort of feel are good dramas to like sort of get people into drama watching, like, because some dramas are harder to watch than others if you're not familiar with how Asian dramas work, or you're not familiar enough with the culture. Mm-hmm. So there's certain dramas that we feel are have more of a universal appeal than others,
or are good ones for, like, we made a list on our Certified Noona's My Drama list of good starter dramas, and some of them are ones that are maybe a little more intense, but it's good if you want to get a feel for what a crime drama, like an Asian crime drama might be, or you want to get a feel for a historical, or, but some of them are sort of, we've kind of gone with like, here's a historical light, like it's not all the heavy and all the, this is a good taster, and then
we're gonna ease you into these things.
Go find the crazy stuff later.
So we all decided to pick a drama that we think is a good starter drama for people. I will begin. My drama recommendation is Shopping King Louie. It's a rom-com heavy on the com, also heavy on the rom. And so a lot of Korean dramas, they have, especially in like the romantic comedy genre, they have like a nice tragedy arc about two-thirds of the way through, where suddenly everything sucks for everyone for like 3 episodes, and then everything gets resolved. But Shopping King Louie's tragedy arc is very short, resolves itself very quickly, and is just too adorable that it doesn't kind of bum you out, because you always know when you get to those episodes and you're like, dang it. Like, here we go. Like, they have to break up for some reason. But it's also just an adorable show, has amazing actors, and I think it has sort of a universal appeal to it, that lots of different people who like lots of different things can find something to like about it.
The one that I picked was actually one of my first dramas that I watched, and it's called Sassy GoGo, or Cheer Up, depending on, what you're looking at. And it's a cute starter high school drama. Cute story about, the unpopular kids, or the poor kids, or the dumb kids, or whatever, all of those things, versus the smart rich kids at the school, and how they've come together unwillingly to form a cheer sport team. And they're atrocious, let me just say. It's not good cheerleading, so
very bad.
Not. But that's like barely the point of it. Really, the point is there's like a romance, and there's a really intense, strong bromance between the two male leads. Our baby Jisoo is in it.
Our sweet baby Jisoo.
Beautiful Jisoo. Like, he's fantastic in this. Really, really good. Hard to watch at times because he plays a very he's got a character with a troubled life.
Problem.
But it's a good drama. It's cute. My best friend Lee Mi-do is in it as the cheerleading coach.
She's awesome.
She's not really my best friend, but she likes my posts. When I comment on her Instagram, she always likes it. So
she's your
best friend.
You're just your internet friend. That's real friendship.
Yeah.
So so it's good. And it's a shorter one too. I think it's like 12 episodes. So it's not so intensive. You're not, it doesn't, because it's only 12 episodes, it doesn't have that feel where you're like, oh, they ran out of story and now they're trying to stretch it. Like, okay, now that we're going to have 3 episodes of this horrible cheering competition. No, there's like 10 minutes of the cheering competition total. And then, back to the real story. So, it's just good. And I like sports dramas.
So I picked a tried and true, which I think a lot of people like, or at least I feel like it's a drama that people tend to say is their first kind of real love of a drama, and that's Coffee Prince. It's also called like First Shop of Coffee Prince or something else like that too. It's a longer title. I never remember it. Coffee Prince will get you where you need to be. I think this is a really good show kind of as a starter, because I feel like it has kind of a feel of a lot of Western shows, wherein it has a good cast. Like, there's a lot of characters that have pretty solid or pretty like bigger storylines that isn't just the main 2 characters, which is really prevalent, I think, on a lot of Western shows. They tend to like the side characters a lot. It also kind of gives you a glimpse of some tropes that you will see in other dramas, and I think it does it in a way that's not as over the top. So it's got a nice kind of like feel to like get you into it. And I think the romance in it is really great. It's actually one of the better romances. So like your first romance can have a nice kiss in it. And then you kind of like also see kind of like the structure of the like second male lead and the second female lead, and then just kind of like other things that are kind of prevalent in Korean culture, and also gives you the big trope of the female playing a male, the whole gender swap, which is big in a lot of shows, especially around that area. And it's also a little bit older too, so I think it's a nice kind of to see dramas at that level in that year.
Yeah. And Gongyu.
Oh yeah, and totally Gongyu. I mean,
because he's important.
He's very important.
He's a nice looking fella.
So my recommendation for star drama is Player or The Player or Hustle. It has a handful of names, but hopefully between Hustle and Player you should be able to find it. If you like Ocean's 11, it's a pretty good link to that. In fact, it's very episodic. Quite often it'll set up kind of the main baddie they're going to focus on for the first episode of that week, and then by the second episode they'll kind of wrap that up, even though there is a big overarching plot going on. But the fact that it's so episodic, it does feel pretty Western in that sense. So that's nice. It's very much found family trope, which is a huge favorite amongst us. There's really not much romance to speak of, which makes this a very good gender neutral. I think it has a lot of appeal for, as long as you like action and can handle fighting, it'll probably be okay. Yeah. It actually is pretty intense now that I remember. The baddies are pretty bad. Yeah. It does have violence, and I guess that might not be for quite everybody.
But it's not like gory violence. It's like,
no, but I was pretty shocked by some of the levels of bad that was done against some innocent people. I mean, it and it's not that it shied away from it. It did not shy away from it at all. But people typically got their comeuppance. Justice was served. So, I mean,
that being kind of along the lines of what we were talking about before with the different production companies, the different channels. This is an OCN one, which typically speaking is going to have a higher level of violence. It's going to have
They like crime shows a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
crime shows and like gritty
one
stuff.
Of the things when we're watching The Player, it was that it was fun and enjoyable, but because it's OCN, you're not entirely sure they're not just going to kill everybody.
You're suspicious. The entire time you're watching it, you're like, these characters are pretty great.
Gotta die.
And
they get along well together. That's a problem.
Somebody's going to betray them because, it's just, because it's OCN. So you just have certain expectations of what you're going to get. And
it also has one of our favorite actors in it.
Right?
Him one hey.
Mind you, like every other show has him in it. So.
Yeah.
He has a really solid, good role. I really dig him. This really showcases him a lot. It's pretty good.
I really, really loved Crystal in that one.
Crystal was amazing in this.
Favorite role. She just had a really good, well-rounded character. They didn't give her like unrequited love or like icky love stories or anything. Or even
her weakness, it didn't like overtake her character like it quite often does for women. Because usually it's like, oh, this is a cool woman character, but she's so weak. In the end.
She's like super cool, but then suddenly is bad at everything she was good at because
of this one thing.
Her. Like, no, she's cool the whole way. She's just cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, so those are our drama recommendations.
We have more listed on our...
Oh, yes. There's on our My Drama list. Or if you just, tweet us and we'll tell you what we're watching these days. There's some other podcasts that we all enjoy. Drama Kandy, Noona Business, and the K3. Those ladies are wonderful. We're friends with them all on Twitter. It's good times.
We're all like different too in our style of podcast. So I think that's nice. There's also some other, I know Fall For It is one of the newer ones, and they kind of tend to skew more to Taiwanese, Chinese dramas. And then they're very newbie watching drama, at watching dramas. So that might be nice for a newbie to kind of like actually be with
feel
someone
like you're part
at their,
of it. See, and one of the things I like with like Drama Kandy, and it's Kandy with a K, is that they've both been in Hallyu and Asian dramas for a lot longer. So they do have a historical kind of like, they've seen the ebbs and flows in the industry and stuff. So often they'll say, oh, here we go again. Or, you know, so I like that aspect of it. I feel like I'm, as a newer drama watcher, when I'm listening to their podcast, I feel like they're giving me some insights into the stuff that I missed back in the day kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think with like Noona Business, which I think is kind of fun, they are a little bit kind of where we are, where we're not as serious about things and we're kind of jokey. They do that too, and they also do some recaps on some of the shows, and they're very aware about their love of shows that might not be the best. And I think that's a really great thing, because you kind of tend to feel bad about like stating your love of something if everybody keeps on saying it's terrible, but they are like, they understand what's wrong with these things and they just make it funny, and they understand that it's enjoyable and not everything has to be perfect.
Yeah, not everything has to be a work of art for us to enjoy it like one. So also, if we're going to like, you know, these people are all on Twitter, so, and they're very active in the community. Another one on Twitter that is really active is Drama Current, which is also a website. And every first Monday of every month, there is a big Drama Kandy host. Drama Current. Drama Current hosts a K-drama chat, where it's all on the hashtag K-drama chat, where they throw out questions and then we answer them and everyone chats with each other, and it's really fun, and you should definitely come and participate.
It's a great way to meet other people in the community. Like, Hallyu Twitter is very active. It's it can be a little overwhelming sometimes, because sometimes people, you know, get judgy or, you know, are very vocal about their opinions. And sometimes that's great. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, and it can make you feel like, oh, well, like, I really liked that drama. Oh, darn it. But chances are you're also going to find other people who go, no, I like that drama too.
Yeah, and if it's Twitter, like, just shout, well, I love that drama into the void, and you're fine. So someone will find you.
But the K-drama chat is a really nice way. Like, I've met some new people that way. Lots of mutuals and stuff. That,
like, every time we have one, like, I make new mutuals every time.
Yeah, a lot of people who aren't pretty active will show up at those, and so I think that's really cool about it. You just, like, they may not be super active, and then all of a sudden you see them and you see them commenting, and you're like, oh, that's another person who likes the same stuff as me. I can follow them or check out their stuff.
I find that for music with Imi Chimmy, and she is a radio DJ, and she hosts on Sunday afternoons a K-pop radio show, and it streams over the internet so everybody can listen to it. And then she's got K-pop Daebak Imi is her hashtag, and you follow that, and for people who literally that's the only time they use their Twitter is Sunday afternoons. They log into their Twitter so they can chat with people while they listen to Imi's show. So again, it's a neat opportunity. I've made, again, a number of mutuals, K-pop mutuals through that.
And it's worldwide. It's really interesting. Like, I mean, you get people from across the pond, but then also all types of other places. So it's neat.
Like, I met my platonic soulmate through Amanda. Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky, shout out. If you follow me, you will see interactions between Ricky and I. They're a bit
they're great.
They're legendary.
I just sit back and watch everything.
You might need a rating on your profile. Let's just be real.
We're trying to bring K-pop bulges back, so we'll see how that goes. And, it's important to note with, like, the Twitter community and everything that there are people whose personalities will not jive with you, but that's what unfollowing and muting is for.
Yeah.
So, just
And
like,
you know what? In extreme cases, blocking. Like, if people are coming after you with name calling, with, like, violence, block that.
Luckily, overall, you really won't get
No.
attacked. Typically.
No, especially I feel like there's more cases like in Kpop Twitter, which we're still a part of, but K-drama Twitter, we tend to be a bit more of a happy family.
Yeah.
You can step back and give some space. Like, if you're feeling stressed out about something amongst somebody else, just step back and you'll be fine. I mean, it's usually not that aggressive.
Yeah, just send a fun GIF, and that usually derails most conversations that are going on.
And then start talking about your favorite coffee, and it'll all be good. I mean,
yeah, just like, post a picture of Key from Shiny, and you're fine. You're fine. Like, everything will be okay. So, so those are the fun things that...
And you can, follow us like Certified Noonas, and then we have our separate accounts, and if you ever have any questions, or if you do feel lonely, I'm sure we can say hi or something like that.
Yeah, we're super active. And I think it's important to note, don't feel like you can't talk about something just because of your level of watching dramas or like how much you watch. Just go ahead and talk about it, because everybody's at a different level. Everybody uses their time differently. So some of us may binge a lot and that's all we watch, but some of us may only watch a show and it will take us months, and all those are fine. But I think it's like most important to just go out there and talk and comment on people, because there are a lot of people who like don't realize that if you just comment on something, like, we're all gonna comment back, and it doesn't matter if you've only watched 2 dramas in your entire life. We still
want to hear from there's something strangely seductive about getting that little notification that someone has commented on something you wrote. Never feel like you don't know someone well enough to leave a little friendly comment on something they post. Like, we love it. I don't know anyone who hates getting, like, why else would you go on Twitter if you didn't want to interact with, like, just screaming into the void? Like, no. Like, we want people to interact and, like, talk about things. So
but just don't feel shy. Like,
don't feel intimidated.
I'm a shy person in, like, real life, and it was really hard. But, like, once you just put yourself out there, it's a great community to be a part of.
Yeah, I was on Twitter for a while before I started commenting on things, and then I finally was just like, wait a minute, these people are all social misfits just like me. Otherwise, why would we be on Twitter? So, kidding, I love all of you.
If we could make real friends.
I'm joking.
Uh-huh.
We just really like our Twitter community, and we're always looking for more people to, come and join us.
Our family.
Exactly.
Oh, I was just going to say a few things with regards to Twitter, though. Like, talk about the drama you're watching. That's great. Probably make sure to hashtag it if you can, because especially if you're watching something new. If you're watching something that's like 10 years old, people should, not be so upset about spoilers.
10 years to watch it.
But you know what? I am watching an older drama right now, and I'm still hashtagging everything, because you never know.
Like, if you're going to say anything that could be construed as a spoiler, hashtag it so that if someone get muted so they don't get spoiled.
Well, it's a double-edged sword as far as there's if you say any spoilers, but then the other side is, even if you are watching an older one or a new one, random people can find you. Like, I get so many random comments about not just new shows, but if you're watching an older show and like you're watching King Two Hearts, if someone is watching as well, or if they periodically go search their favorite show, all of a sudden they'll be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's a good way to also find through your own stuff at some point.
I mean, that was basically how I found, like, how you Twitter people was, I was on for roller derby or something, and I think I was watching, like, Scarlet Heart or Goblin or something, and I was like, I wonder if other people on Twitter are watching this too. So I was like, well, how would I find that? And so I typed in the hashtag of like
Scarlet Heart
Goblin or hashtag Scarlet Heart Rayo or something, and it was like,
boy, the Pandora's box you opened there.
And it was, and I, made friends that way, and it was kind of
the 4 of us. We have only met on Twitter. and Skype.
Yeah. And look at us, we're doing a podcast. So you can be just like us.
we now know too much about each other. So you too could start a podcast with people you meet on the internet.
You make it sound so appealing.
Hey, we have a good time.
But and not everyone posts spoilers. I mean, so if you are going to do spoilers, just beware. For other people, it's just a nice thing to do. But not
also,
like
spoiler alert at the beginning, so people can scroll past it quick if
like
they don't want
I know
to.
overall, I personally try to not even go there because I'd just rather not deal with it. But if rarely I want to talk about a theory, I definitely just put a spoiler alert on there, so no one can come after me about it.
So yeah, that's Twitter in a nutshell. We love it. We want you there. Join us. In terms of anything else that newbies would need to know, I think that where to watch dramas is pretty much the last big bastion. So DramaFever, which used to be the main place to watch them, is dead. Goodbye. So now, like, legally speaking,
Which we totally support legally.
Yes, we are big fans of legally for the most part.
There are other options, but we'll point you towards the legal options.
Yes. So Viki is the big main one. They have a huge library, and they also have a partnership with Kokawa.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how it's pronounced. Where they have a lot of overlap in the dramas, but there is like differences between the two. Like there are some on one and not on the other.
And so Vicky just signed a deal or something. Supposedly we're getting more Japanese content.
Oh yeah,
that would be awesome.
Which is great because Vicky is owned by a Japanese company.
Yeah,
so we should be getting Japanese dramas.
Logically.
That's exciting for the future. Netflix has, in the past year, has really sort of exploded with how many Asian dramas. They just added a bunch of Thai stuff on there, so that's pretty exciting.
They're placed for Thai right now, and they're also exploring more with simulcasting. So, like, right now, there's Memories of Alhambra, and that's a weekly show that's airing in Korea right now, but you can see it on Netflix.
Exactly. And they did the same thing with Live, which came out this year, which was an excellent show.
With Chris's Playbook.
Yeah, and that's also an amazing show.
In some countries.
Yes,
exactly.
In Canada, we got it simulcast.
There's the difference between U.S. and Canada. Netflix just blows my mind.
Yeah. No, like my mom always laments when she goes down to New Jersey. She can't watch Downton Abbey anymore. She gets really sad.
Yeah, you have to watch it on like PBS here.
Yeah, exactly. Also, YouTube has a lot. I know there's a lot of Thai stuff on there because GMMTV, which is like a big Thai for all your boys love needs. They have their own channel with English subs on most of their shows. So, and there's also a lot of, you can find a lot of the variety shows and things on YouTube as well.
KBS does a lot of their stuff. They put a lot of their like shows on there. You can find some older dramas on there too, and they're fully subbed. Also, YouTube Red or whatever it is now, whatever YouTube's like paid service has a bunch of stuff too. So like things like Top Management, which was a little like web drama that they did there. They've done documentaries like Sakai no Owari is the Japanese group is doing a documentary right now, and
they did a Big Bang
Dragon. Yeah, Big Bang variety show was on there. So there's a good amount of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're really picking up their game, as it were. So there's a lot of options out there.
And I was gonna halfway mention, I don't know a ton about it, but I think there's View, which I think for if you're around more the Asian countries, kind of like the Viki of their side.
Hulu sometimes has some stuff, and Amazon Prime too, but less than the other ones.
Maybe a new Chinese one called Bamboo is coming out for North America next year. So they're going to have a lot of the Chinese content and stuff. It doesn't exist yet, but it's supposed to be. A little bit of a
slightly racist name there, but whatever. Bamboo, Asia, whatever.
I was gonna mention on Kokawa, whatever it is. It is a company that's produced by the three top broadcasting stations. So those 3 top broadcasting stations are going to be the only thing you see on there. Yeah. Just so that's kind of like a distinction between.
So if you're wondering where your JTBC, TVN, and OCN are,
and they ain't going to be on Cocoa.
Right,
but a lot of variety shows.
Yes, there are a lot of fun variety shows on there. Now, as a slight comment just on the high seas, we're not going to say where to go, but just know some ports of call are safer than others.
And you might not know it.
Yeah,
it's not ad blockers and some...
Yes. The nastier the ads, the more suspicious
the website.
The website.
But so if there are ads for like comment dating, you're good.
Yeah, like all of them will have spicy ads because like that's just how it works. But some ads are spicier. If there's pop-ups, get out of there.
Yeah.
Get out.
So and it also should be known that like some of those sites, they're just stealing the subs from the paid companies. So it's not like even like a this is your last resort thing. They're just stealing from other people's work, which is not the best thing. Like I understand the want to find things that you like literally can't, because things like J-dramas where it's almost non-existent to find those. But I feel like there should be a little bit of like a morality for you to be like, hey, you can actually get this. You should definitely
the way that I sort of if there's no legal way for me to watch this show, I will venture on into the high seas. However, if there is a legal way for me to watch this, and if there is a legal way for you to watch the show, watch it legally.
Yeah. Netflix does pick up things that may not have been like you see them airing, but they'll pick it up later. Like shows that you might not be able to get, like those OCN, TVN, those are really hard to get. But like things like God's Quiz, it was aired and you couldn't find it, but Netflix picked up the first 4 seasons, and now that it's like completed and over on those 4 seasons, you can find it. So there might be in the future ways to find these things.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to bide your time.
Yeah, a lot of the new Thai stuff too that they've got, like they're just doing the all at once dump. So it's on, people on my Twitter are talking about how they were watching the Thai Oh My Ghostess, and I was like, man, I want to watch that. But then once it was finished, they dumped it all onto Netflix, right?
Which isn't all that shocking, knowing how Netflix likes to have people binge.
Exactly.
That's their model.
Kind of the culture of Netflix. Binge watchers.
That makes sense.
And I think that's, for me, as long as I know that I'll probably eventually have a legal way to watch it, I'm okay with waiting, because there's like a billion other things I could be watching.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. So like right now, there's a
there.
bunch of currently airing stuff that I would like to be watching, and I just don't have the time right now to watch all of it.
I think so when I succumbed, it was right when DramaFever died, and I was halfway through.
I think that's where most
no
people
longer
were like,
existed anywhere, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me with this.
Yeah.
So
I just basically, if I can't find it anymore, most of them, well, like the Third Charm, like people were so furious about it after, like, I watched up until DramaFever died, and at that point, things were still going really well.
I just really lucky.
It was like a house fire happened, and people were freaking out, and I was like, do I need to go find that illegally?
There are several YouTube channels of people reacting to K-pop. We do have a favorite. Our favorite is Classical Musicians React, whereupon classical musicians react to K-pop, and it's super fun. You should give them a little check out. It's a black hole of entertainment. So
there are a lot of reaction videos on YouTube for K-pop, and some are better than others.
Yeah.
And some are just fun to watch because the personalities are so great and strong. One of the things that's nice about the classical musicians is that they actually analyze the music. They're actually like excited about that bridge, and like
so it's kind of See, as you said, you can feel their passion for music.
That's
come out as they talk about music that's outside of their genre.
Because honestly, you don't have to be like have been a music major to really appreciate what they are doing and how they're reacting to things. I mean, it's nice because once long ago I was a music major, but so it's like a nice little connection, but like, yeah.
I think, like, for me, sometimes with watching their reactions that, I'm going to say, like, Tempo. I heard Tempo the first time and I was like, this is garbage. I can't listen to this song. Like, it drives me crazy. But I watched their react. I watched the reaction, and when they're pulling out stuff, and they were so excited about it, they were like, I can't believe they're doing this, and now they're doing this, and it made me appreciate the song more. Is it one of my favorites? It's still not going to be one of my favorite songs.
I could talk for like an hour.
I really like it now. Because now after hearing that and seeing the way they reacted to it, I appreciate things in the song that I didn't necessarily see before. Yeah. And I found that with other stuff too, that like there'll be a song, and sometimes it's a song that I really like, and then it's like they're explaining things. I'm like, yes, that's it. That's the thing that I like about this song.
Put to words that you couldn't speak before. Exactly. You didn't have the language.
I didn't have that language to say it.
Yeah.
So
those are really fun.
I was just to say there's not a lot of like true K-drama specific people out there on the YouTube channels, but Outspoken Artistry, who we all know, we all follow on Twitter, she has a YouTube, and it's heavily focused on her passion for K-pop and K-drama, and that's definitely another outlet on YouTube that you can, watch and see someone who is just like you, who is kind of living their life and loving going to K-pop concerts and different things. Yeah.
Oh gosh, if I didn't live in the backwards of Canada, I'd be going to K-pop concerts like you wouldn't believe. They don't come here. They don't come to hillbilly Canada.
They don't come here either.
If we just want to go around and say what our main advice is for new people watching.
I think something that's come up for me in the last couple of weeks, I've really noticed it, especially like in the Twitter community. There's a really big assumption that everybody is watching or listening with K-pop the same way, that everybody fangirls in the same way. And I think I would just say to newer people in the community to try to avoid that assumption. Mm-hmm. Like, a big one where I see it is being an older K-pop fan. You see younger teenage girl K-pop fans who just are horrified. You disgusting, horrible old women who are like sexualizing our teenage, boys. And it's like, no, sweetie. When I was 15, I already went through that phase. I had posters of Corey Haim on my wall, and I listened to New Kids on the Block, and I've already been there. That's not what I'm doing anymore. So, there's that tendency to think like every K-pop fan over the age of 20 is like a dirty old lady who's like looking at like, 19-year-old boys sexually, and like we're not. So
no, it's just me. That's just me. I'm kidding. I'm not. I don't.
The old ladies. But like I listen to music for music. So, or just there is that tendency with dramas too, right? Like that people expect you to know things or understand things from the same perspective that they're understanding it, and recognizing that everybody comes into dramas with their own perspective, their own life experience, their own way of watching things, and recognizing that that's okay. So don't get offended that somebody else doesn't enjoy this the same way that you're enjoying it. Don't be offended when they say, I don't like this drama, or I don't like this song, or I don't like this group. They're not attacking you, and they're not necessarily attacking the thing that you like. They're just stating a preference, and it's okay to have preferences. It's allowed.
They're just using their time the way that they want to use their time. It's not like a negative thing at all.
Exactly. So that would just be my big advice, would be to recognize that there are differences, and to not assume that everybody does everything the same way, or the same way as you're doing it. So don't visit your prejudices onto other people.
I would say, I think getting out of your comfort zone is the best. And it kind of stems on like what Amanda was saying, and, maybe not wanting to do something or watch something because everybody says it's bad, or like not wanting to express your opinion on something because everybody thinks it's bad. But I think especially when you're watching shows from different cultures, you have a tendency to find what you like and not want to stray from it because it's a little bit of a culture shock. And I think that like expanding into other kind of genres, I think is a really good thing so you can like actually learn more, not only about the culture, but kind of like see different sides and see different stories that you might not have wanted to or would have, in actually like find stuff that you possibly could really like. Also, I think although it's a slippery slope and then you'll just add so much more to your to be watching list on my drama list, going outside of a certain country is really nice too.
I remember
like,
past Jessie.
I know. Jessie. But like I was still watching K-dramas and J-dramas too. So I think even like, just doing that, like I remember very clearly because I have a past with anime and I started to really know Japanese culture. And when I started to watch K-dramas, it was really interesting to see the differences in the culture, but also the same thing. So I think that's really nice. If you have the time. Also, if you don't have the time, don't do it.
Well, my first Thai drama, I remember kind of being turned off by the language, like the way it sounds. It's very different. And
it's the German of
I liked
Asia.
the story, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep watching. But I've heard that from a lot of people. Like that's a very common thing that I hear. I don't watch Thai dramas because I don't like the language. I can't listen
to. I feel like
to
that sort of thing. I think is like what you should be like to push yourself because of those. Like don't push yourself to like see more shows. Push yourself to see a different culture or like
to expand your horizons.
Story being told.
Yeah, it's not pushing yourself to add to your numbers or something.
Yeah.
It's your like, knowledge of the world and people.
Yeah.
And I think don't push yourself into something that makes you really uncomfortable either. Like, you know, if like Sky doesn't want to watch the gory violence or the really intense stuff. Like, okay, don't. Like if you know it's going to give you nightmares, don't do it. Like
right, there's no reason to do that.
You don't have to. There's a billion other shows out there.
Exactly.
Watch the things that make you happy.
So for me, it's more about the community aspect, and it's don't be scared to just put your opinion out there or communicate with people or just talk about the things that you like. I was tweeting, having a little Twitter thread conversation with someone about this, that I truly believe that people are the most themselves when they talk about the things that give them joy. So don't be afraid to have an opinion. Don't be afraid to tell people what you like and to talk about it. And we all do the same thing. So as Jessie said, as you expand your horizons and find out what's different, but also what's the same, humans are, connective creatures. So there's a commonality that threads through all of us. And we just, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, I think it also, like, to stem from that, I know I personally, and I know a lot of people do, we genuinely like seeing people talk about something that they love. And it doesn't matter if I love it or have any connection with that. Mm-hmm. Seeing someone talk about something passionately and something that they really enjoy is really nice. Mm-hmm. So if you love something, just go out and talk about it.
I think my advice stems from the fact that I'm not sure I'd consider myself a newbie since I'm rounding the corner of a year with watching dramas now. But I still kind of have that perspective of, I definitely know just a handful of months ago, I could get overwhelmed pretty fast. I didn't necessarily think everybody knew way more than me, which they kind of did. But it's more, there is so much out there when it comes to dramas of all the cultures, plus all the music. There's a lot to cover, and there can be moments, there's no reason to stress yourself out about it. There can be times that your level of interest is so much, and it's like you want somebody to just magic wand towards you and stuff. It's not going to work like that. And, it's cool if you want to stay up all night researching something, that's fine. But just know that take your time. And your opinions might even change as you go along. So just give yourself space to find your own interests. And also, I know for me, when it comes to genres of watching shows or even music, I've always loved music and I've always also loved shows and movies and stuff. But as I entered watching and listening to Asian stuff, a lot of that changed. Like I started listening to other genres of music more, and I started looking into different types of shows that on the American side of shows, like I won't touch a lot of crime or whatever on American side of shows, but then I figured out, action shows for K-dramas are kind of different. Like as far as the storytelling is a little bit different than the way a Western show would be. Or the same thing with rap. So like honestly, I've never been hugely attracted to listening to rap music. But I kind of slowly introduced myself to that through K-pop, and then it's like, wow, I actually listen to some rap music now. So it's interesting to give yourself space to like change your own opinions. You don't have to keep yourself in a little bubble, and even as you aren't a newbie anymore, you can still change your opinions on stuff. It's cool.
Like it's interesting because a lot of I work in the arts, and there's this sort of societal thing that somehow arts are less important than things like STEM, or less useful than things like the sciences, technologies, or whatever. But what I find interesting is that art is a way to grow yourself as a person, and the entertainment despite what you may or may not think, the things you watch affect how your brain functions. So expanding your horizons by seeing different types of stories and, different, lenses on different ways of living is never a waste of time, as much as my mother would argue with how much I watch TV. But, like read a lot, watch a lot, listen to different things. It's not a waste of time.
It isn't. I mean, especially if you take a stance that you are learning something. I mean, even if it is culturally, or I think a lot of times, definitely when it comes to watching shows, narrative arcs, storytelling, character development, there's so much to learn, even just like basics. I mean, I don't know all the background like lighting and props like Jessie does, but I can still appreciate all types of other aspects of a show. And same thing with music. Like, I don't necessarily have a music degree, but I've always liked music, and I can still learn from all these different cultures, but also even within that, all the different groups have way different styles and even different ways they approach music. Their lyrics are totally different. I mean, just like Western artists. And so giving yourself space and time to just, you don't have to find your one genre of shows and your one K-pop fandom and only stay there.
Multi-fan life.
Now, if you do want to just chill out there and
you do you, man.
For the next 5 years, if you want to listen to the same K-pop group, go for it. I'm totally not against that. But give yourself space to try other things sometimes. And don't be afraid that you have only watched 2 shows. It's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
we still want to hear.
We still want to hear your thoughts on those 2 shows.
I will probably recommend a lot.
I'm sure that at least one of us has seen one or more of those shows and can talk to you about it.
We have realized that our overlap of dramas is way smaller than we thought.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
For the total amount of dramas that all 4 of us have seen, the number I believe was 8.
Yeah.
8 dramas in total.
Completed, right? Because there's probably more in the
completed,
top pile.
but all 4 of us. If it was only like 3 of us, I didn't count it. But there's a lot of shows between us too. Like that's a lot of collection of shows. Because even when I was going through the list, I was like, oh, I really haven't seen that either. And then there was stuff I was sure one of you had seen, and then you didn't. And I was like, wait a minute, they haven't seen that. And it was really actually eye-opening to me. So.
I sort of sense eyes looking at me, since I'm the most voracious of the viewers. But art is something that connects all of humankind together. So enjoying it you should never feel ashamed of yourself for liking K-dramas, even though it's somewhat unusual in certain places. And you should just like what you like unabashedly.
Yeah. And support your artists.
Yes. please. We're starving. We're hungry.
I wasn't necessarily meaning us, but us
We need
too.
our Wi-Fi. But yes, and go to legal sites so you're actually supporting the real artist too. So yeah, I think that's about it for our newbie advice. All right.
Our short mini episode.
Yeah, that's
We might be
100
reaching the
hours,
mini
20 minutes
episode
long,
term.
whatever. I don't think it's possible for us to have short episodes. Like,
It's really not.
so yeah, so that's our guide for newbies. If you liked listening to us, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Play, we're on Podbean, we're on Apple
iTunes.
Thank you.
Podcast.
We have a YouTube channel. I don't think there's much on it, but we have one.
It's basically these podcasts.
Yeah, podcast.
But maybe we'll do some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Who knows?
Ooh.
We got some stuff that works. We have an Instagram, and of course we have Twitter. And we love hearing from all of you. If you go to our main Twitter, which is @CertifiedNoonas, we have a link that has all of the information about our podcast and everything, and where to find all four of us. Not like on the internet, not in physical space.
Because that'd be creepy.
Yeah, like
Please don't come to my house.
we're not that close.
We love you, but we don't love you that much.
Like, I don't have a spare bedroom, so. So yeah, we hope to hear from all of you, and we'll be back soon with another great take, another hot take on K-dramas. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.